Very good morning to you. If you're just joining us, let's bring you this story now. Grade 12 pupils have been back at school for at least 3 weeks now. The pupils were out of school for over 2 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of them will struggle to catch up with their studies due to the lost time this academic year. Meanwhile, some pupils from private schools and former Model C schools have had access to online learning during the lockdown. Now, an organization called Youth Start is calling for donations to assist the disadvantaged pupils. The organization has already raised at least 5 million rand for this initiative. And let's speak now to the organization's Nkosinathi Mushwana, who joins us via Skype. Mr. Mushwana, thank you very much for your time. Firstly, how has the academic year been affected or impacted since the outbreak of the COVID-19?
Look, Tole, as you rightfully say in your intro, we've got a huge disparity in the education system at the moment. The schools that are quintile 1, 2, 3, that are under-resourced schools have not had access to any online learning. And if any, some teachers have made efforts to interact with learners through WhatsApp. But the reality is that they've had 2 to 3 months of no schooling. So in a normal year, they would have at least 9 months to prepare themselves for their final exams. And now we find ourselves in a situation where they have about 4 months. So we as a Youth Start Foundation, through our Educate program, which has been running for the last decade, we've decided to bring our partners and call on the country to ensure that we can bring in even more matriculants into our matric math and science revision program to try and cover the gap of time that they've lost during lockdown, and give them as much support as possible to prepare themselves for their finals.
Yeah, and it's quite an important initiative that you are leading, and we've got to congratulate you for it. However, money alone is not the solution. Practically is the help that these schools that are in poor areas need the most. How can they be helped practically?
Fantastic question. So let me contextualize the importance of math and science, which leads into the practicality of the initiative. Now, I'm sure you'll know that, with the challenges we have in the country, a capable and skilled society is critically what we need to be working on. So for us, especially now, 44 years after the Soweto uprising, the youth are critical and central to making this possible. So the programs that we've run, although we understand the importance of online interaction, and have the capability and the offering available for students that can access online, the reality we face in our schools is a behavior that believes that learning can only happen in a classroom with a moderator in the front of a room with students sitting around us. Now that mentality puts us in a position where we've got to meet the learners where they are, and we cannot expect them overnight to change their behavioral understanding of how to learn. Further to that, the fact that they don't have access to the resources makes it even more difficult. So with us, for the last 10 years, we've utilized cinemas as theaters of learning and as our classrooms. And of course, with the COVID-19 pandemic, there's been certain shifts we've had to make to still be able to reach out into the communities that need our support. So practically, what we are doing is bringing in business, government, academia behind our model. In safer areas where we can utilize cinemas, we are engaging to find the best model in that regard. And in more remote communities, we've got different models that speak to in-class interaction. And as I mentioned earlier, we will be then supporting it with some online interaction.
Yeah.
Practically, we will be on the ground from September to get into the schools that need our support, especially now that there's so much uncertainty with our matric learners that need our support.
Yeah, just briefly for me, sketch out what the after-school community looks like, particularly in the rural setting, because these are the pupils who need the help the most.
Absolutely. The rural communities are the most struck. I must mention that the talent is there. They're just missing the support and the exposure. And what we are looking at is a group of young people that have limited exposure to the opportunities that are available for them after school, when they leave matric, that have limited access to bursaries and the likes, and currently just by the virtue of where they are, do not have the infrastructure to have extra lessons, to remain at school, either because they have no structure to learn in, or because there's simply not enough capacity. So we've got to find a way to support them, give them access to bursaries, access to long-term employment and entrepreneurial opportunities, but it starts in helping them make the best and put their best foot forward when it comes to matric and the results. So what we are driving as this education response to COVID is a national call, as you said in the entry, to get society, philanthropic individuals, business, to support us in funding the education that's required through more teachers, more tutors, the distribution of more materials in remote communities, as you rightfully mentioned, and get them ready for their finals.
All right, Nkosinathi Mushwana, thank you very much for your time. He is from the Youth Smart Foundation, a very important initiative they are leading there.